You feel broken, utterly lost. Every memory is a fresh wound, and a voice in your head keeps whispering that you'll never really move on. The pain is overwhelming, a constant static that tells you your best days are gone, that happiness was something you had and then lost. You find yourself staring at your phone, hoping for a notification that you know isn't coming. You replay conversations in your mind, desperately searching for a different ending that will never happen. This ache feels permanent, like a part of you has been scooped out, and you'll never be whole again. But what if I told you there's a way to not only survive this pain, but to use it to become stronger and more resilient than you have ever been? An ancient philosophy, Stoicism, teaches that while we can't control what happens to us, we have absolute power over how we respond. And that is the key, not just to healing, but to a total transformation. A breakup can feel like the ultimate theft of control. The future you planned, the daily routines, your very identity as a partner, it's all been ripped away, and you didn't get a vote. It's in these moments of crushing powerlessness that Stoicism offers a lifeline. And no, this isn't about suppressing your feelings or pretending you don't hurt. Stoicism is not about becoming a stone-faced robot. The Stoics were thinkers who understood human emotion deeply. They knew about grief, loss, and heartbreak. They just refused to be victims of it. They saw adversity not as a punishment, but as a training ground. They believed that life could throw its absolute worst at you, but it could never, ever break your inner self, your character. You're sullenless, you let it. This philosophy offers a surprising path, not just to mend your heart, but to build unbreakable emotional strength. It's a roadmap from suffering to strength, from feeling broken to becoming unbreakable. In this video, we're going to walk through 10 core Stoic principles that will do more than just help you get over your ex. They will empower you to reclaim your peace, rediscover your worth, and build a life so strong and fulfilling that your happiness will never again depend on anyone else's approval or presence. This is your first step toward not just moving on, but moving up. The absolute foundation of Stoicism is the dichotomy of control. Everything else is built on this one powerful idea. The philosopher Epictetus, born a slave who rose to become a legendary teacher, said it best. Some things are in our control and others not. In our control are our opinions, desires, and actions. Outside our control is, well, almost everything else. Our bodies, property, reputation, and what other people do or think. Think about how much energy you've burned since the breakup, focusing on things that are, by this definition, completely outside of your control. You cannot control your ex's feelings. You cannot control their decision. You cannot control who they talk to, or if they're happy without you. You can't rewind time. Wasting your precious emotional energy here is, as the Stoics would say, a form of self-inflicted madness. It's like screaming at the sun to rise in the west. It's a fight you will always lose, and it will only leave you exhausted and miserable. The pain of a breakup multiplies when we refuse to accept this. We think, if only I'd been different, or maybe if I explain it one more time, they'll come back. These thoughts are traps, rooted in the false belief that we can control another person's heart. We can't. The relief, the very first step toward real healing, comes from ruthlessly and honestly identifying what you can control. You control your thoughts about the breakup. You control your actions after it. You control whether you stalk their social media or block them for your own peace. You control whether you spend the night sinking into self-pity or going for a walk, calling a friend, or losing yourself in a book. You control the story you tell yourself. Is this the story of I'm unlovable? Or is it the story of this is a painful but necessary redirection on my life's path? As Seneca said, we often suffer more in our imagination than in reality. Our anxieties feel huge and monstrous when they're just swirling in our heads. But when you force yourself to write them down, to give them words on a page, they often shrink. You see the irrational parts. You see the self-defeating stories you're telling yourself. This isn't just about venting, though that can help. A Stoic journaling practice is more structured. It's a conversation with yourself. First, analyze your impressions. Remember, it's not events that upset us, but our judgment of them. When you feel a surge of pain, open your journal and break it down. What was the trigger? What was the immediate feeling? And most importantly, what was the judgment that caused that feeling? For example, trigger, saw a happy couple. Emotion, sadness, and envy. Judgment, I'll never have that again. Once you've written down that judgment, you can challenge it. Is it really true you'll never have that again? Is that a fact or a catastrophic story your mind is telling you? Second, prepare for the day ahead. In the morning, write about potential challenges. Today I have to go to a place my ex and I used to love. I might feel sad. If I do, how will I handle it? I'll take a few deep breaths. I'll focus on why I'm there. I'll remind myself that a memory can't actually hurt me. By rehearsing your response, you're no longer ambushed by your emotions. Third, review your day in the evening. Before bed, ask yourself a few questions in your journal. Where did I act in line with my values today? Where did I fall short? When did I let things outside my control disturb my peace? What did I learn? This isn't about beating yourself up. It's about compassionate self-assessment so you can improve. It's about becoming a stronger version of yourself one day at a time. Your challenge is simple. Get a notebook and commit to writing for just 10 minutes a day for the next month. You don't have to write a masterpiece. Use the prompts above. Write about your feelings, question your judgments, plan your day, and review your progress. This practice will become your sanctuary. It will be the place where you turn confusion into clarity and pain into wisdom. This principle, Amor fati, is probably the most difficult and yet the most liberating idea in all of Stoicism. The Latin phrase means a love of one's fate. It goes a step beyond just accepting what happened. It's not about tolerating it. It's about actively, wholeheartedly loving it. Love the fact that your heart was broken. Love the fact that the person you planned a future with is gone. It sounds absurd, maybe even offensive. But let's unpack what the Stoics really meant. They believe that everything that happens exactly as it must. To wish for things to be different is to argue with reality and argument you will always lose. Epictetus put it perfectly. Don't seek for everything to happen as you wish it would, but rather wish that everything happens as it actually will, then your life will flow well. Loving your fate means understanding that this breakup, as painful as it is a necessary part of your unique life path. It's not a random tragedy. It was a necessary event to get you to whatever comes next. Without this ending, you couldn't have the new beginning that's waiting for you. Without this pain, you couldn't have this opportunity for profound growth. Without this loss, you wouldn't be forced to build the incredible inner strength you're now developing. This is the ultimate reframe. The breakup is no longer the worst thing that ever happened to me. It becomes the event that was necessary to forge me into the person I'm meant to become. Amor fati allows you to look back on the relationship not with bitterness, but with a kind of peaceful gratitude. You can be thankful for the good times and the lessons learned without letting the ending poison the whole story. You can say, I am grateful for that chapter, and I am grateful that it's over, because its ending is what allows my next chapter to start. This isn't a mindset you just switch on. It's an advanced practice. But you can start planting the seeds. The exercise for Amor fati is to change your inner voice. Catch yourself when you think, I wish this hadn't happened. And try, even if it feels fake at first, to replace it with, this happened, it is part of my path, and I will find the good in it. I choose to embrace this. Another way to practice this is through gratitude for the lessons. In your journal, list everything this relationship and its ending have taught you. What did you learn about yourself? About your needs? What red flags will you now recognize? What strengths did you discover in yourself during the heartbreak? Instead of running from these fears, the Stoics would say you should calmly walk toward them in your imagination. Take your biggest fear, let's say it's being alone forever. Don't just let it buzz in the back of your mind. Confront it. Sit down and truly visualize that life. What would it actually look like? You'd have friends, you'd have hobbies, your work, your passions, your family. You could travel, read, learn, and grow. Would it be challenging? Yes. Lonely at times? Of course. But would it be unsurvivable? Absolutely not. You would endure. You would adapt. You would find joy in other ways. By visiting that dark place on your own terms, you strip it of its terror. You realize that the worst-case scenario, while not what you choose, is something you absolutely have the strength to handle. And there's a second, beautiful benefit to this. It creates incredible gratitude. When you spend a few minutes thinking about losing everything, you come back to the present with a deep appreciation for what's still here. You may have lost a partner, but you still have your health. You have your mind. You have friends who care. You have a roof over your head. You have the simple joy of a morning coffee. By imagining a future with even less, you become acutely aware of the good you have right now. So here's the exercise. Once a day, just for 5 minutes, pick one of your post-breakup fears. Really visualize it. And as you do, tell yourself, this could happen, and if it does, I will find a way. I will handle it with courage. Then, after 5 minutes, open your eyes and look around. Take stock of what you do have. This isn't about dwelling on misery. It's a strategic visit to a feared future that makes you stronger and more grateful in the present. It turns the monster in the dark into a manageable problem in the light. Right after a breakup, the pain feels infinite, terrifyingly permanent. It feels like this crushing sadness is your new reality, and you can't imagine waking up without that weight on your chest. Stoicism gives you a powerful truth to cling to. Your emotions, no matter how intense, are temporary. They are like clouds passing in the sky. They might block the sun for a while, but they are not the sky itself. The Stoics taught that we should observe our emotions without becoming them. You are not sadness. You are the person experiencing sadness. That tiny shift in perspective is everything. It creates a space between you and the feeling, and in that space is your power to choose how you respond. Seneca never suggested that we shouldn't feel grief. In fact, he said that not feeling it after a loss would be a sign of a problem, not a strength. He wrote, "Let your tears flow, but let them also cease. The wisdom is in the balance. Acknowledge the pain, let it be there, but don't build a house and live in it. Don't let it become your entire identity." When a powerful emotion takes over, it's easy to believe the story it's telling you. Sadness tells you, my life is sad and will always be sad. Anger tells you, I've been wronged, and this injustice has to be punished. A Stoic would advise you to see these thoughts as just impressions. They're automatic thoughts, not necessarily facts. Epictetus offered a powerful way to handle this. He said when a harsh thought arises, you should say to it, you are just an impression and not at all what you appear to be. Then you test it. Is this feeling about something I can control? Since the breakup is in the past and out of your control, the emotion itself has no real power over you unless you give it that power. This is incredibly similar to modern mindfulness. By observing your feelings without judgment, you let them run their course and fade naturally. When you feel that wave of loneliness, try this. Instead of letting it sweep you away, just notice it. Say to yourself, there's that feeling of loneliness again. I feel a tightness in my chest. This is an uncomfortable sensation. Notice what happens. By describing it like a scientist, you separate yourself from it. You are no longer a lonely person. You are a person observing the temporary sensation of loneliness. You stop fighting the wave, which only makes it stronger. You just watch it, and you realize that eventually, like all waves, it pulls back. Your challenge is to become a curious observer of your own feelings. When a strong emotion comes up, just name it. This is grief. This is anger. This is jealousy. Don't judge it or try to push it away. Just sit with it for a minute and notice how it feels in your body. And then gently remind yourself, this is temporary. It will pass. This practice doesn't erase the pain overnight, but it stops the pain from defining you. It gives you back the controls to your own mind. The Stoics used a powerful metaphor for the human mind, the inner citadel. This was a fortress inside you, a place of total safety and peace that no external event, no matter how awful, could ever break into. Marcus Aurelius wrote constantly about retreating into this inner fortress. He dealt with plague, war, and betrayal, but he knew that his inner peace was his to command. After a breakup, your defenses feel shattered. Your sense of security, which was probably tied to the relationship, is gone. You feel exposed and vulnerable. The Stoic response isn't to desperately find a new relationship to feel safe again. It's to turn inward and start building your own unconquerable fortress. What is this inner citadel made of? It's built with the bricks of your character, your values, and your reason. Your ex could leave you, but they can't take your honesty. They can't take your courage. They can't take your wisdom. These things are yours alone. The Stoics believed that the only true good in life was virtue, and the only true evil was a lack of it. Everything else, relationships, health, money, reputation, they called indifferents. Now, this doesn't mean they didn't care about these things. They called love and health preferred indifference. It's natural to prefer having them, but they knew that tying your ultimate happiness to something that could be taken from you at any moment was a recipe for misery. Your relationship was a preferred indifferent. It was wonderful to have, but its absence doesn't reduce your core worth or your ability to live a good life. Building your inner citadel means shifting your source of validation from outside to inside. So much of the pain of a breakup comes from the loss of validation. You lost the person who told you they loved you, who was attracted to you, who valued your company. Now, you have to learn to provide that for yourself. You must become your own source of love, approval, and strength. How? By living a life of purpose, guided by your own values. Pour your energy into becoming the person you truly want to be. Read those books you've been meaning to read. Pick up that hobby you've always been curious about. Get physically strong. Volunteer for a cause you care about. Each of these actions is a stone in the wall of your citadel. When you act with integrity, you lay a stone. When you learn a new skill, you lay a stone. When you choose to go to the gym instead of staying in bed, you lay a stone. You're building a sense of self-worth that's based on your character, not someone else's affection. The practical exercise here is to define your virtues. What kind of person do you want to be in this next chapter? Write down 3 to 5 qualities you want to embody. For example, resilience, curiosity, compassion. Now, every single day, ask yourself, what is one thing I can do today that aligns with these values? Maybe resilience means finishing a workout when you feel tired. Curiosity might mean watching a documentary on a new subject. Compassion could be checking in on a friend. By focusing on these small, controllable actions, you are actively building your inner citadel, day by day. You are creating a source of inner peace that no one can ever take from you again. Section 6. Journal for clarity and self-reflection. Some of the most important Stoic texts we have are personal journals. The Meditations of Marcus Aurelius was his private diary, a tool for self-improvement. Seneca's letters are deeply personal explorations of philosophy. The Stoics knew that an unexamined life leads to confusion, and that the simple act of writing is one of the best ways to examine your own mind. When you're heartbroken, your mind is a storm of chaotic thoughts and painful memories. Trying to make sense of it all in your head is almost impossible. Journaling gives you a place to slow down, get the chaos out, and bring some order to your inner world. By focusing on the growth, you start to see the breakup not as a pure loss, but as a very expensive, very painful, but ultimately priceless education. You start to see it as a gift wrapped in sandpaper. When you can genuinely look at the rubble of your past and say, thank you for the lessons. Thank you for making me stronger. I wouldn't trade the person I am becoming, then you have mastered the art of loving your fate. You have become invincible. There's a story from ancient Rome about victorious generals. During their parades, a slave would stand behind them, whispering in their ear, Memento Mori, remember, you will die. This wasn't meant to be depressing. It was a tool for perspective, a reminder to stay humble and focus on what really matters. For the Stoics, thinking about our own death was a key practice. It sounds dark, but it's actually a recipe for living a vibrant, urgent, and meaningful life. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. How can this possibly help with a breakup? When you are drowning in heartbreak, the pain feels like it's everything. Your world shrinks down to the size of that sorrow. Memento Mori shatters that narrow perspective. This breakup, which feels like your entire universe, is just one chapter in the book of your one precious and limited life. When you are on your deathbed, will this specific period of pain be the defining feature of your whole existence? Or will it be a painful but ultimately small part of a much larger story? Contemplating your mortality does 2 things. First, it shrinks your current problem. The Stoics would practice the view from above, imagining floating up, seeing themselves, their city, their country, the earth, and the vast cosmos. From that high up, our personal dramas look incredibly small. This isn't to say your pain isn't real, but to put it in its proper context. Second, and more importantly, Memento Mori creates urgency. If your time is limited, how do you want to spend it? Do you want to spend months or years of your finite life obsessing over someone who chose to leave? Do you want to dedicate your precious, unrepeatable days to rereading old texts and wondering what went wrong? Or do you want to use that time to live, to create, to learn, to love, to experience the world? The thought of death clarifies our priorities. It forces us to ask, what truly matters? And the answer is rarely making my ex regret this. What matters is living with purpose. What matters is your own growth, your own peace, and your own joy. This principle is a call to action. It's a plea not to waste your life mourning a past that is gone. Your challenge is to integrate this reminder into your day. You could keep a small object on your desk, a coin, or a scullis, a physical cue. A simpler practice is to take 1 minute each morning to just sit and contemplate the fact that you are mortal. Let it inspire you to seize the day and not waste a moment on unproductive suffering. When the pain of the breakup feels like too much, gently remind yourself, Memento Mori, I am mortal. This time is all I have, and I will not waste it. This shift in perspective can be the jolt you need to lift your head, look at the horizon, and start walking into your new life. The Stoics believed in the power of example. It's hard to navigate life's challenges alone. We need guides and role models to show us what's possible. Seneca wrote about choosing a Cato, a historical figure known for his unshakable integrity and keeping him in mind when making decisions. He would ask, what would Cato do? This practice gives you a moral compass. In the middle of a breakup, it's easy to feel lost. Your emotions are pulling you everywhere. You might be tempted to lash out, to beg, to numb the pain, or to hide from the world. Having a role model, a sage, can provide clarity and strength. This doesn't mean finding a perfect person. The Stoic sage is a theoretical ideal, but we can use real people as practical guides. It could be a historical figure like Marcus Aurelius. When you feel like complaining, you could ask, how would the emperor who ruled through plague and war handle this heartbreak? As a catastrophe or a chance to practice fortitude? It could also be someone you know, a grandparent or a friend who has navigated loss with grace. Think of someone you admire for their resilience. When you're faced with a choice, ask yourself, what would they do? How would they carry themselves? This shifts you from raw emotion to a more reasoned, admirable path. Most importantly, you must strive to become your own role model. Think about the future you, the version of you who is healed from this, who is strong, wise, and at peace. This future you is your ultimate sage. When you're tempted to send that angry text, ask yourself, would the strong, healed version of me do this? Or would they choose dignity and silence? This isn't easy. It takes constant practice. But every time your mind wanders to what they are doing or feeling, you have to gently but firmly drag it back to your own territory. Your power isn't in changing their mind. It's in mastering your own. Try this right now. Grab a piece of paper and draw a line down the middle. On the left, list everything about this breakup that's causing you pain. Don't hold back. The loneliness, the rejection, the memories, the fear. What friends might think, the thought of them with someone new. Everything. Now, look at that list and circle only the things that are truly and completely within your control. You'll probably find that most of what you wrote everything about your ex in the past is uncircled. The only things you can circle are your own responses, your own thoughts, your own actions today. That circled list, that's where your power is. Pour every ounce of your energy into that small circle. That is the beginning of freedom. One of the most defiant ideas in Stoicism is that our obstacles aren't roadblocks, they're fuel. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man on earth at the time, wrote in his private journal, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Right now, this heartbreak feels like a dead end, the end of happiness. A Stoic would challenge you to see it differently. This devastating, soul-crushing pain, this isn't the end of your journey. This is the journey. This obstacle is your opportunity to practice virtues you never knew you had. Think about it. When life is easy, it doesn't take much to be patient or resilient. But now you have the chance to practice real courage. The courage to face loneliness and build a new life from scratch. You have the chance to practice real wisdom to learn from this and understand yourself on a deeper level. You have a chance to practice real self-control to resist the destructive impulses that are calling to you. This breakup is a fire. It can either burn you to the ground or it can forge you into something stronger. That choice is yours. Every time you feel a pang of sadness, you can see it as a reminder of your incredible capacity to love. Every time you feel a surge of anger, you can see it as an invitation to practice forgiveness and release a poison that only harms you. Every time you feel the fear of being alone, you can see it as a challenge to become your own best friend. This isn't about toxic positivity. The pain is real. The Stoics never denied pain. What they denied was that pain gets the final word. They believe that literally anything can be used to your advantage with the right mindset. As the philosopher Seneca wrote, we shouldn't be crushed by misfortune because every hard situation is just a chance to get stronger. Let's get practical. Your ex starts posting pictures with someone new. The gut punch is immediate. You feel replaced, erased. That's the obstacle. How do you make it the way? You use this painful moment as a chance to practice letting go. You can use it to practice wishing others well, even when it stings. You can use it as the final powerful push you need to log off social media and pour that focus back into your own life, your own goals, your own joy. The event itself is neutral. It's just data. Your response is where the power is. You can let this shatter you, or you can use it to build yourself. So here's the challenge. For the next week, every time a wave of negative emotion hits you, stop and ask yourself one question. What virtue can I practice right now because of this feeling? Is it patience, forgiveness, self-reliance, courage? Write it down. By consciously reframing pain as a training exercise, you shift from being a passive victim to an active architect of your own character. You start to see that this breakup didn't break you. It's building you. This next Stoic tool sounds strange, maybe even a little dark, but it's one of the most powerful ways to build resilience. It's called Premeditatio malorum, which means the premeditation of evils. In simple terms, it's the practice of imagining worst-case scenarios. I know, this is the exact opposite of most self-help advice. We're always told to stay positive. But the Stoics were realists. They knew life was unpredictable. As Seneca said, what catches us by surprise hurts double. Unexpected problems hit harder than the ones we've prepared for. By thinking about potential misfortunes ahead of time, we rob them of their power to shock and devastate us. We're building an emotional immune system. How does this help with a breakup? Right now, your mind is probably already spinning with fears. What if I never find love again? What if I'm alone forever? What if I fall apart if I see them? This practice does two things. First, it gives you immediate guidance. Second, it's an act of self-creation. By consistently choosing the actions your ideal self would choose, you become that person. You close the gap between who you are and who you want to be. Here is your challenge. Identify 1 to 3 role models. One can be a historical figure. One can be a person you know. And the third must be the future, healed version of yourself. Write their names in your journal. Next to each name, write the qualities they embody that you want to cultivate, e.g., Marcus Aurelius. Tranquility, my friend Sarah. Resilience, future me, self, love. Then, for 1 week before you make a significant decision about your healing, pause and consult your council of sages. Ask, what would they advise? This practice will keep you anchored to your highest self, even when the seas are rough. This final principle is the ultimate goal of the Stoic journey after a breakup, learning to find complete fulfillment from within. The end of a relationship often triggers an identity crisis because we let our sense of self get tangled up with another person. We were, we, and now we are just an I, and that I feels incomplete. Stoicism challenges this at its very core. A Stoic sage is a complete circle on their own. A relationship is the joyful overlapping of 2 complete circles. The relationship enhances a life. It doesn't complete it. The pain we feel is often not just the loss of the person, but the loss of the part of our identity and happiness that we handed over to them. The Stoic path is about reclaiming that part of yourself. It's about building a life so robust and meaningful on its own that a partner becomes a wonderful addition, not a requirement for happiness. This is the essence of building your inner citadel. Seneca talked about the difference between solitude and loneliness. A person can be lonely in a crowd if they lack a connection to themselves. But a person can be in solitude and feel completely fulfilled if they are a good friend to themselves. This breakup has forced you into a period of solitude. You have a choice. Experience it as painful loneliness, or use it as an opportunity to become your own best friend. This means actively creating your own sources of joy. What makes you feel alive without anyone else? Mastering a skill, the feeling of a hard workout, creating something new, exploring a new place? The time after a breakup is the perfect time to pour your energy into these things. You're not just distracting yourself. You're doing it as an act of self-love, proving to yourself that your life is rich and full on its own. This is also about learning to love without desperate attachment. Epictetus cautioned that we should love our dear ones, but always remember they are mortal and only with us for a time. Accepting this allows us to love more freely, without the fear of loss that can poison everything. The ultimate challenge is to build a life you wouldn't be willing to give up for the wrong relationship. When you have your own passions, strong friendships, a sense of purpose, and unshakable self-worth, Your standards for a partner naturally skyrocket. You no longer look for someone to complete you. You look for someone who complements your already complete life. You stop operating from a place of scarcity and start operating from a place of abundance. Your final exercise is one of rediscovery. Make a list of 3 things you used to love doing but stopped during the relationship, and 3 new things you've always wanted to try. In the next month, dedicate real time to each of these 6 things. Reconnect with old passions and spark new ones. This isn't just about filling time, it's about rebuilding your identity around your own interests. It's the final, most important step in not just healing, but building a life that is truly, unshakably your own. We've walked through 10 pillars of Stoic wisdom: accepting what you can't control, seeing the obstacle as the way, preparing for your fears, understanding that your emotions are temporary, building your inner citadel, journaling for clarity, loving your fate, remembering your mortality, emulating your best self, and finally, finding fulfillment from within. These aren't quick fixes. This is a deep, practical, life-altering philosophy. Healing is a journey, and Stoicism is your map. It teaches you that you are not broken, you are being forged. This pain is not a punishment. It is a profound opportunity. An opportunity to discover the core of your character and to build an emotional strength so real that you will never again be shattered by what happens on the outside. You have more power than you realize. The Stoics knew it 2,000 years ago, and it is just as true today. Your freedom, your peace, your happiness, they are not in the hands of the person who left. They are, and always have been, in your hands alone. If this was helpful, share your thoughts in the comments. Which principle hit home the most for you? Pick one to focus on this week. Your story and your progress can inspire someone else walking through the same fire. Remember to subscribe for more on using ancient wisdom for modern problems. You have survived 100% of your worst days. You will survive this. Now, go and build your new life.